Hi, in this tutorial we're going to look at some very basic formatting in Excel, and this is visual formatting. We're not changing the format of the data type, so we'll look at that and we'll explain that and take a look at that in more detail in another video. So the first thing are the basic font settings. I can of course select my data, simply use the same types of tools that I would use in say Microsoft Word. I've changed it to Arial. I'm going to change it to a size 14. And so these are your basic font settings. Same as would be in Microsoft Word. I'm going to take my titles. Here's my bold. And of course you could use italics or underline or something that you wanted there. Something new to Excel though is the data exists in columns, and you can see this is very confusing, especially when I increase the size. Sometimes the data will tend to run over each other and be hard to read. So in order to adjust the column widths, you can lay your mouse on the line between the two columns, and you'll notice it changes, the cursor changes to a line with a two-sided arrow. And I can now click and drag this to the width that I want. So that's one method. Another method is to lay your mouse over that same line and double click, and what that will do is it will make the column the minimum width of the largest thing in the column. Now there are times that will seem not to work, and there are reasons for that, but you always have the other options of dragging. If you get stuck and you're not sure how to do it, you can always click and drag a column individually. Now you're not limited to working with one column at a time. I could select A, B, and C, or actually I could select all the way out to I if I wanted, and double click, and it will format the entire section that I've selected. There's also something called fill color, and you can see that there is a color on some of these cells. So let me take the rest of the cells. I'm going to use one of my tricks. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to move to the right and jump to the bottom of the page. This paint bucket will give you the fill color. So I've set it to this light green color. Also, you may want to change the font color, and that works exactly as it would in Word. You just select the text that you want and you pick the font color. You have borders. Now I'm going to try my Control-Shift-End as in previous video and add one more little trick for you. You notice it gets a bigger block than I want. If right now I hit the left arrow, that's a quick way to jump back and get the selection that I want. And the reason that it made that selection was because these columns were blank. If there were things in these columns, it would have jumped back one column at a time. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Now that it's selected, this is the borders box, and you can see there are thick outer borders in various combinations. 99% of the time, you're just going to click all borders, and it just makes the data a little easier to see. Okay. Last, let's say, this doesn't really need to be student first name. I'm just going to call that first, last, and phone. And let's say that in these columns I would like the title centered. Well, you can select those and use the alignment buttons here to put them in the center, the right for that matter, or the left. And normally we don't put things at the right, but in Excel we may wind up doing that at certain points. I could, not so much my titles, I don't think, but I could select these phone numbers or something with a decimal and align them in a different place. So there, I've selected that column and decided that I want my phone numbers to be right aligned. I'll put them back in the center. Okay, that's it for the basic visual formatting in Excel.